Mamas. Today, I'm continuing to address sex and physical intimacy after baby, after kids. And specifically today, what gets in the way of connecting to desire and connecting with one another? How do we get past these walls that come up between us in this stage of life that feels good to both of you? Okay. And so I want to share really quickly, I'm not discussing anything explicit, not even body parts today. So don't worry if young ears are around. So we need to look at the many barriers that just don't need to be there, usually coming from very unrealistic expectations or assumptions that we're making about how our partner or spouse might feel about us, that may not be true at all. And unaddressed needs, thoughts, worries that are getting brushed under the rug instead of brought up together. We probably have questions for one another that you want to ask to get reassurances or to understand. And when those things don't get addressed, it really is going to affect desire and connecting with desire for one another. So I'm going to briefly cover some of the things that get in the way and then what can help reverse that. And the first thing that comes up all the time is the mental load. Okay. So if one partner, I usually hear this from moms, but I don't want to generalize. Like, I don't know if that looks different, obviously, with some couples, but, most often mom is like, I am overloaded. My mind is tracking a million details all the time. I'm the one that remembers like what we need to bring when we go out with a baby or a toddler, how many diapers we have left. And it just becomes this load of invisible labor and so much resentment. Someone's not going to be connecting to their desire when they're overloaded and resenting that they're not getting enough help. Okay. And so these are discussions that need to be made, like need to be had together. Otherwise, it's just not going to inspire like spontaneous connection. It's not going to inspire responsiveness to a spouse when there's something unaddressed going on with that spouse. So when there is this kind of emotional disconnection or unresolved conflict that is just sitting there like an elephant in the room that everyone's ignoring, that's going to like kill eroticism. Okay. And if you're stuck in these like dead end argument loops, you're just, after a while, you're just like, well, whatever, your hands kind of go up with your partner. And again, that's going to affect desire. Now, I mentioned this last week, but this is really important. So the body image and shifts that women are going through during this time, there might be a fear of like, how am I actually seen sexually? Am I desired the same way? Am I comfortable in my own skin, to connect with my partner intimately? And if there's tension around that, that will also inhibit and may require like, reassurance and comfort around that and being celebrated, like your body being celebrated. So there can be a lot of grief around body changes and discomfort that could be addressed too. Again, this is again something that I feel like so many people treat alone. Like that's what the mom has to figure out, or the mom needs to have a better body image, quote unquote. But what's going on with the partner too? I'm not saying it's all on the partner, but just why can't we bring partner into conversations like this? It's important. If there has been like birth trauma or scar tissue or stitches that have been uncomfortable, and I'm not talking about just postpartum, sometimes when there is dryness in the private area or there have been like some uncomfortable like experiences of intercourse that can also bring up like tension or unease during like future like moments of sexual intimacy, because there might be like an anticipation of, oh, is this going to hurt again? And then there can be a tightening or just tension around this time. Okay. So that might be something that needs to be addressed, just of a relational way of like, how can we reassure and make sure that, we'll stop if something feels uncomfortable and that sort of thing. And then this is a really, really big one too. This is something I hear of just as much as division of labor, if not more, which is when one person initiates, it feels like a pressure. It feels like a demand, and it starts to get perceived as, if I don't, I'm disappointing. If I don't, then I'm always rejecting, right? And then the partner who's asking might also get in that loop, and usually does, of, I keep asking, I'm getting rejected. Like, what is going on here? And then that loop continues rather than checking in of like, what's going on? And is there actually a desire to reject or something like that? It's usually not, and there's something else going on, but then you get into those labels. And then when there is a disappointing loop like that of rejection, pursuing, then avoidance feels safer than talking about it, because talking about it just keeps getting into loops. And then you get into someone's pursuing, the other person's, pulling back, and that kind of cycle. They call it pursue withdraw. So here's the thing. And I'm going to get into next week more in depth of how to get out of that pursue withdraw in really detail. But today I want to help you just, first of all, understand what's going on, what the blocks are, what the walls are, and know how to share it so you can start opening conversations about all of this. So for example, if there is any nervousness, around pain, around discomfort, around past experiences that either weren't satisfying or were like just hurtful or different in some way, and then you're anticipating something, that probably needs to be addressed so that you can get into a more reassured and safe, comfortable space to just explore before. Now that's talking about physical safety, but I'm also addressing emotional safety. So if you start noticing, hey, I'm noticing that I'm resisting, or I'm pulling away, or I'm not accepting, kind of invitations, that might be because something emotionally doesn't feel good right now. Something's not getting addressed. Okay. And being able to explore with your partner and share, something's getting in the way. I actually would like us to be closer in this way. I would like more of these moments for you, but God, we haven't talked about what happened, last week. And I really need to talk about that. It's been bothering me and it's getting in the way. Okay. The next one is a big one. Really, truly, this will help so much. If you expand the definition of intimacy, and what that means is that there isn't a specific goal in mind from your intimacy together, right? Like an end goal. Okay. If it's more exploratory, if it's more like, hey, to shower together or to cuddle for a while or something and have sensual touch without a specific goal in mind, that will actually help get out of that pressure system of we need to lead to something specific. And if I accept this invitation, or if I offer an invitation, it has to go to this place. It doesn't. And when it doesn't, and when that pressure is taken off, actually it's so freeing and allows for more playfulness and spontaneity, which could lead to things that you want anyway. And sometimes yes, and sometimes no, but it will lead to more and more intimacy. So like a 10-minute cuddle with no pressure, like a shower with no pressure, that kind of thing. So basically affection and intimacy and warmth and physical touch, but without a sense of it has to go here, right? Because also those expectations can rob the spark too that goes into moments like this, right? Here's another thing to look at. You need to also, like I talked about last week, realistic expectations about this time. And it's not just postpartum. Like when you have young kids, they're pretty consuming. The caregiving is consuming in a different way than when they're older, in a physical way too, where it's like, no, don't touch this. It's like they're just trying to hurt themselves all day, like toddlers and young kids. And it's tiring. I have a 2-year-old, like it's very tiring. So sometimes checking in of like, hey, when do we actually have energy in the day or in the week? When do we have the most capacity? Because if one partner is like totally just like feeling dead by the end of the day, that's not the day to bring an invitation. And just having conversations around, not like scheduling when you're going to invite, but just getting it tuned in. You might be surprised by what you hear. You might not realize actually that there are windows that might be better for your partner and for you, and talking about that. Okay. Protecting rest, being very, obliging and protective for your partner and for yourselves around rest, because the more rested that you guys are realistically in this time of life, where that's just like pockets of time for rest or a little nap or something, will allow more capacity, right, for connection, for physical intimacy. And also being able to communicate comfortably around this. Are there reasons why it's uncomfortable to talk about sexual matters with each other? Again, are there fears of rejection? Is there just a general sense of taboo, like from your family of origin? Like were these things that just weren't talked about? Starting to get more and more familiar with talking about sexual matters with each other, just exercising that muscle. The first conversation, you might not be all the way there, but just starting to get used to this and being able to reassure each other, hey, it's okay, you can tell me. And that can be a back and forth. Okay. Try not to go into like a blame sway, like you always do this, you always do that, you never, but that's never going to go well. But still being honest and authentic about how you're affected or what you're worried about. And lead with curiosity. Like, these are my assumptions. Like, is that true? Are you thinking this? These are my fears. I want to share with you so you have an opportunity to like let me know. So I'm not just sitting with these fear thoughts, but actually I'm getting like a window into how you feel. And this goes both ways. Okay. And then here's the thing. This needs to be mutual and reciprocal. It's not just for one of you to do all of this, to figure all of this out. This is a shared responsibility. So, and when things feel equitable, when you sense that your partner's also paying attention as much as you are, or at least trying and making things a priority and wanting to make space, that is going to also give you more energy or help you connect more with desire for one another. And if you notice that there's a discomfort around talking about things, then that's what you talk about, the discomfort. Okay. So again, realistic expectations where if some of these conversations are hard to have, how can you have them, in a way? How can you reassure your partner, let them know, hey, it's okay. I see that some of this is uncomfortable, or I see that you pull away from these conversations. I want you to know it's okay to talk to me. Like, let me know what I can do to make it more comfortable. So if you take one thing away from today, notice what you are keeping to yourself. Notice the assumptions you're keeping to yourself and just like believing them. Notice what's adding to a simmering pot inside, or what leads to walls or shutdown or reactivity around issues of intimacy. Just exhale, acknowledge it, check in. What is the need? What's the worry? You need to share this so that there's an opportunity to be understood and to understand your partner, to be reassured and to assure yourself. Okay. There are questions and check-ins here for one another, and they need to happen. And if these conversations get really hard, check out the link to my coaching offers in the show notes below. Taking care of your relationship is good for you. It's good for your kids. Okay. Subscribe to my podcast here and on YouTube to get more support and insight into your relationship health after kids come. I'm here for you and your family. Goodbye.